Hey everyone, and welcome to the Head to Heart Healing Podcast. In this very first episode, I am recording live, coming to you from the Sacred Valley of Peru, where I've been living for the last 6 months. For the last 5 years, I've been on a healing journey. I've been traveling all through Central and South America, working with different plant medicines, different healers, and really going on this journey of moving from my head into my heart. And that's what this podcast is really about. Helping us live from our truth of who we really are, with more love, with more freedom, with more liberation, with more expression, and more self-trust. In this episode, we're going to get really juicy. I'm going to share a very personal story with you, and I'm going to share about my latest plant medicine journey that was extremely transformational for me and hopefully for you as well. So I'm going to be sharing how my healing through PMDD led me to realize that I was living inside of stories that didn't fit me anymore, that I was living inside of a story of self-rejection, and how I learned that I could choose a new reality and how you can too. So I'm bringing you along this ride with me. And if you've ever felt like life is hard for you, or you felt alone, or you felt kind of trapped inside of old stories that didn't work for you anymore, if you've ever felt broken, or if you've ever felt too much, or if your body has been trying to speak to you in some way, then this episode is for you. So I've been in Peru for about 6 months now, and I've been working with a plant medicine called Huachuma or San Pedro. It is a cactus that grows widely here and grows abundantly here. And it's a cactus that has the medicine or the property of mescaline in it. And it allows us to get out of our heads and into our hearts. So people refer to this medicine as cutting off the head because it really bypasses the thinking mind and it opens the heart. People come from all over the world to the Sacred Valley of Peru to heal from what they're going through. Heartbreak or illnesses, life transitions, long-held emotional patterns. This is really a mecca for healing. And there's so much to learn from the people here, from the land here, and from the medicines that grow so abundantly. So the story I'm going to share with you is specifically about a ceremony that I had with the medicine of Huachuma. And while it includes ceremony, what I really want to share with you isn't so much about the medicine itself, but about what it has revealed to me about my life, my body, my heart, and my long-held beliefs that were holding me back, and really about how I was getting in my own way. And maybe you can relate to that as well. So I went into this retreat with a very specific intention. I went into this medicine retreat with something that I had been dealing with since I was 18 years old, but I hadn't really spoken about publicly. I'd been trying to really just keep my life together, to not be messy, and to really, come across like I was healed or had it all together. But really underneath that, I was struggling. And what I learned from going into the ceremony was that struggle was really about pieces of myself that I had been rejecting, parts of myself that I had been rejecting. And what this ceremony allowed me to do was to really come into wholeness of accepting all of the parts of myself, the messy parts, the chaotic parts, the parts that really were struggling, and the parts that were reaching out for help. I realized that I had been trying to control myself, fix myself, change myself. And I realized something painful but important, that by trying to control myself, I was rejecting myself further. And really what I needed was to love myself into wholeness. Because when we reject parts of ourselves, we're blocking the things that we want in our lives. We're blocking the love, the money, the relationships, the opportunities, and the life that we really want to live. And I believe that it's all on the other side of coming into wholeness, realizing that we're already whole, and loving and accepting all of the parts of ourselves. So since I was 18, I have been struggling with this thing called PMDD. It is short for Premenstrual Dysphoric Disorder. So really, if you've ever dealt with this, you know that what it is a very extreme version of PMS. So about 10 days, 10 to 14 days before your cycle, for me, it was 10 days, every single month, like clockwork, I would emotionally crash out hard. And no matter how good my life was or where I was living, I would just feel this deep sadness, anxiety, looping thoughts, disconnection, disassociation, exhaustion, and just complete mental anguish. It was like I wanted to just disappear every month, and I would just start dreading this every single month of like knowing, okay, it's going to come and it's going to be hell week. So when I was diagnosed with this when I was 18, they treated it with hormonal birth control and antidepressants, which kept the symptoms at bay for a while until about 5 years ago when I had my spiritual awakening and I decided I need to get off all of these things and I want to get to the root. I realized that these medications and these treatments were just masking the symptoms of something deeper inside of my body, inside of my soul, and inside of my womb that needed to be healed and looked at. When I got to Peru recently, these symptoms and these episodes started getting more intense. And I started working with my womb and I started going in deeper during meditation and saying, why is this happening? And I received the message that I came to Peru and I was here to heal this once and for all and to help other people heal it too. So if this is something that you have been dealing with, I really have seen that there is relief on the other end of this. And it just takes some deeper going into our emotions and deeper healing, but it is possible to find relief. And that's what I was able to do in this ceremony. So if you've been struggling with this, or you've just been struggling with negative self-beliefs, really loud voices telling you that you're not good enough, procrastinating things, getting in your own way, or just not believing in yourself, and you're living in these stories that you are so done living in, then this episode is for you. And maybe you can relate to what I was going through. So I went into this ceremony working with Huachuma with the specific intention to see what is really going on inside. During the first ceremony, it was freezing cold and raining, and we went on a hike through the Andes Mountains. And during this ceremony, I just felt so deeply how hard this was. It was hiking. I'm on psychedelics. I'm so cold and I'm carrying this heavy bag. And I just felt that everything was heavy and everything was hard. Until finally, in a moment during this hike, I just allowed myself to break down completely. I just felt I can't do this anymore. Everything is so hard for me. I feel so alone. I just feel like I can't do this. I really felt deeply in my soul that I just felt so unsupported and that I couldn't even allow in support because no one knew what I was going through and no one would be able to help me. So in this moment, I just allowed myself to be messy. I just allowed myself to cry and I just allowed myself to just release this story and this feeling and feel until I felt how done with this story that I was. So my facilitator, whose retreat that I was in, came and she took my hand and she walked with me. And I just allowed myself to receive the support and know, okay, I can't do this alone anymore. And she walked me to the second altar. And when I got there, I tuned into my womb as I had been doing. And I saw this visual, I saw this image of this deep well of sadness that was inside of my womb. And it felt like generations of sadness, of pain, of feeling unsupported, of feeling like things were hard, of feeling just so much different trauma that was passed down that was not even mine. And I know that I've learned before that we carry in our womb 7 generations of passed down trauma or passed down pain, things that needed to be processed and healed. And so I really was able to experience that and see that and stay with it and just allow myself to cry and allow this energy to move out of me. And I felt like it was never going to end. I felt like the sun was never going to come out. But the more that I resisted, the harder it felt. And the less I resisted, the easier things moved through me. And so I think when we're going through these moments, we think, oh, there's something wrong with us. We shouldn't feel this way. And we resist it and we get scared of it. But the more you can allow yourself to have that safe space to just feel what's coming up and allow it to move through you without shame or blame, then the easier it can get, the lighter it will be, because you're not meant to carry all of this heaviness in your womb, in your body, in your heart on your own. And I realized something really simple, that sometimes we really just need support and we can allow it to come in. So if you're going through something like this, you might feel like no one will understand, but I promise there are people that can hold it and can help you and hold your hand through this so that you don't have to feel more isolated and more alone. And as this was releasing out of me, I started to see the stories I had been living inside that had been creating my reality. That life was hard for me, that I'm on my own, that I have to carry everything myself. And I looked around and I physically saw that I am in one of the most beautiful places on earth. Like, I live here. And emotionally, I was still trapped in my mind inside of these old beliefs. And I felt a voice of God coming to me and saying, like, you came so far. This little girl from Syracuse, New York, moved and traveled all throughout the world to go on, to traverse this and to go on this adventure and to heal these things so that you can live more free. And here you are living here in this beautiful land. And I just felt like, okay, I didn't come this far to just only come this far. I didn't come this far to still be living inside of the mental loops that I was living inside of all my life. And I decided in that moment that I was going to change this once and for all. I realized so deeply something that I already know, that our beliefs shape our reality. The things that we believe about our lives and about ourselves are what we see outside of us and the things that we're allowing to happen in our lives. But these beliefs are so deep sometimes, you guys, and it really takes going into the depths and seeing like, okay, wow, this has been an unconscious belief that's been shaping my life and creating this story. But now I'm seeing it and I'm becoming conscious of it. So if I was unconsciously choosing this before right now in this moment, what can I choose by being conscious now? What do I want to choose to be my life? What do I want to choose to be my new reality? And in that moment, I decided I set the intention and I asked God, please, I'm ready to go into a new reality. If you've ever been here, then you know that you really can choose this new reality. And we can do things like breathwork and plant medicine or coaching or whatever it is to become conscious of the beliefs that are running our lives. And then that I think is what consciousness work is. It's like stepping into the creator of your life. What are the things that you want to create? And what are the stories that are holding you back from fully stepping into, getting out of your own way and stepping into the creator of your life, of who you are here to be, fully expressed version of you? So once I had this intention, I went into my second ceremony fully saying, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to release control. I'm ready to release these old beliefs. And I'm ready to step into a new reality. But what I didn't fully understand yet at that moment was that when you fully do step into a new reality, you have to let the old one die. And that can be a scary thing because these beliefs, these patterns, these traumas, whatever you want to call it, they have become so familiar to us that we cling on to them for safety. But that is an illusion because they're actually keeping us held back from the life that we want to live. And I realized something, that how this connected to this bouts of depression that I was having every month, where it wasn't that I wanted to disappear. It was that I wanted these stories to go away, these stories to disappear, that were telling me that I wasn't enough, that were telling me that I was bad or that I was wrong or that I would mess everything up, right? It was these stories that had come here to finally die. The story that I was broken, the story that I was too much, or that I had to suffer to deserve love, all started to appear. And I started to just say, no, please take these away. So in these ceremonies, you walk through 4 different altars. And in the first altar is the fire. And when I tell you that this ceremony, this day of my life was the most transformational day of my life, I really, really mean it. Because I had been through probably 50 different plant medicine ceremonies, and I had never let myself actually let go of control. And in this moment, as I was completely losing control, I was clinging on for dear life to being in control. And I was so afraid, and I just kept seeing how actually scary it is to let go and to let God. And just how much I was holding on to these stories myself. And so as I went through this journey, these stories really started to burn away. And I started to really just give up and realize that I really knew nothing. And I guess they call this an ego death because I had to get to the point of just recognizing the amount of fear I had in my body, which was holding me back from stepping into the new reality of being the person that I know that I am here to be, and how much control and fear was actually running my life. And by the time I got to the middle of the ceremony, I had just really recognized that I know nothing. And I just pleaded to God to please allow me to just receive your love. And please remove all of the blocks around my heart that are stopping me from just receiving the love and the grace of God and of myself. And I think that's really what all of this work is about. It's about returning back to love for yourself. The love for yourself is always there. We just have barriers around it based on beliefs that were passed down to us that are stopping us from fully experiencing it because we don't believe we're fully worthy of it. That we have to change ourselves or fix ourselves in order to fully just receive God's love. And what I recognized was that is the biggest lie on earth, that we don't need more versions of other people. We need you to be the most you version that you can be, and know deeply in your heart that you are so worthy and deserving of God's love exactly as you are. Not when you have 10K in your bank account or lose 10 pounds or have this relationship or have this job. Exactly as you are now, you are so worthy and deserving of God's love. And what I realized is that the more I was trying to control, the more I was getting further away from love. And I recognized that you can't control yourself into love. You have to just love yourself into wholeness, because control is the opposite energy of love. Control is based in fear, and trust is based in love. And the energy of trust and love is the highest frequency of where we can step into being our own unique selves, stepping into our power. And I realized that it was only myself that I was afraid of. It was my own power that I was afraid of stepping into because of these beliefs telling me that it wasn't okay to do so. And maybe you have those similar beliefs, and I'm here to tell you that there's nothing to be afraid of. As I was walking around this lake in this beautiful place, full of fear, I kept looking up and recognizing, what am I so afraid of? I'm just walking around a lake. And I think that's a perfect representation for our life. The thing that you want to create, the thing that you want to do, the thing that you desire is placed on you through God because you are meant to have it. And really, what are you so afraid of? What if you really could just step into your power? What if you could share your voice without fear, knowing that you can't do it wrong? You can't be yourself wrong. And these stories of you can do it wrong, or you can do it right, or you need to be controlled, or you need to be smaller, it's all just fear-based thinking that is an illusion. Because when we come down to it, love is the only thing that there is. And it's so available for you to just feel and to step into in every moment of the day. So I had been realizing that I had been trying to control myself into being worthy, but what I actually needed was to trust myself into being whole. So if you're not where you want to be in your life and you try to come at it with more control, but you're met with more resistance, it's because it's the opposite energy that's needed. What's needed is loving yourself exactly as you are now, in the mess, in the rock bottom, and showing yourself that you are deserving of the love, that you are whole in all of it. So I saw something very clearly from this day, that we think we're broken, but really we just forgot that we're in love. That we think that pain means something is wrong with us, but pain is often really trying to reach us and show us a message and have us listen to what's really going on under the surface. And it's all just asking you to be more of yourself, to not be afraid of your own power, of your own love. So you don't need to be someone else. You just need to stop abandoning who you already are. And throughout this experience, I went through the day having honestly no control at all, just being the most unhinged, out of control version of myself, and just allowing whatever needed to happen to get me through the day. And I made it to the end of the day. And I feel like throughout this, there were points where I never thought I was going to come back. And then I realized that if I did come back, I would come back a more truer version of me, a better version of me, a more expressed version of me. And something that was so special was at the end of the day, people coming up to me and telling me, oh, you said this and it meant this to me. And thank you for saying that. And thank you for saying that. And recognizing that the most impactful version of me was the most uncontrolled, unhinged, completely just free version of who I am. And I think that that's true for all of us. That is my prayer for all of us, for you to be the most out of control, unhinged, just true version of who you are. Not looking at who this person is on Instagram and who that person is, like not following anyone else's funnel, not following anyone else's system. You cannot put yourself in a box. You are meant to just be more you and to free yourself from anything that is telling you anything different. So after this experience, my beliefs really started to change at their core. I could feel myself coming back to life with an entirely new belief system of knowing that I don't need to be watered down, controlled, contained, or less potent. That God hired me to be exactly as I am. And God hired you to be the most you can ever be. So if things aren't working, maybe you're trying to do someone else's job than what God hired you to be here to do. And I started to rewrite these beliefs deep in my cells that I am deserving of love exactly as I am. I'm deserving of money exactly as I am. I get to exist fully as I am. And I made a promise to myself to share my experiences with you all, to stop hiding, to choose love in every moment over fear, and to keep listening to my body instead of fighting against it. And what I recognize is that this initiation that I went through, and any initiation that we go through, fully requires a true death of who you were. That you can't bring the old beliefs and the old self into your new life and have things work. You really have to surrender and let it die. And letting it die is just surrendering it to God's love. I was so afraid of losing who I was. But once I fully surrendered to God's love, it was actually the most natural thing that we can feel. And that the resistance to it is what was making it hard. It was like I was trying to fit myself into this small old version or old pair of clothes or shoes that didn't fit me anymore. And what's available to you on the other side of actually letting that go is so much love, is so many possibilities, is so much spaciousness. And when you're in that frequency of trust, you don't need to feel safe in this smaller version of you anymore because you trust that you can't do it wrong. You trust that you can just play and you can try different things and that you're going to be supported and you're going to be loved once you come out on the other side of this. That in this reality, you don't have to prove yourself. You don't have to earn your worth. You just get to decide to be worthy. And you just get to decide to just be you. And that is my prayer for everyone that is watching this episode and for everyone that I will touch with my work, that you get to just love yourself as you are, pour more and more love into yourself, and you get to do the work that you know you're here to do, being an extension of God's love. That is why we're here. Just to be here, just to exist. We are here to just be, and we are here to just be alive. So the three things that I really learned that I want to take away from this is that, one, when it comes to our body and we're having these symptoms, for me specifically, it was dealing with PMDD. It was dealing with these episodes of depression and of sadness. And I'm on this journey of healing it in a way that I know is true to me without more numbing and more medication. It's actually going in and seeing what is really going on. So your symptoms are messages. They're not flaws. Your body is not betraying you. It's trying to tell you something. And our job is to listen to our bodies and to learn the language of our bodies. The second thing is the stories that you believe are creating the life that you live. So if you believe your life is hard, it's going to be hard. If you believe you're broken, your life will reflect that. But the beautiful thing is we get to do consciousness work and we get to see what's going on under the surface so we can consciously choose new belief patterns and rewrite our belief patterns and rewrite our lives and rewrite the lives of those to come. We get to be the ones to break that cycle and choose something new. And you can choose a new reality. And number 3 is you don't have to heal alone. Getting support is not weakness. It's wisdom. We're not meant to do any of this alone at all. So you should be so proud of yourself for wherever you are in your healing journey, whether it's healing from emotional trauma, whether it's healing from physical illness or physical ailments, or whether you're just healing from wanting to live a life that's bigger and greater that you ever imagined, and healing from any stories that are telling you that that's not possible for you. I feel so proud of myself for getting through this journey because it was honestly the hardest thing that I ever had to do was just allowing the old version of me to die. But once I did it, it was so easy. And I believe it's the same for all of us. I don't feel afraid anymore to share more about my journey because I know that there's no way that we can do this wrong. And I don't want you to feel afraid anymore either about bringing your gifts online, about sharing your story, about sharing your voice, sharing your insights, and doing the job that you're here to do, which is just being you in a bigger way and just being you in the truest way possible and being an extension of God's love. So I want to take you on this journey with me to really keep exploring what it means to move from the head into the heart instead of living from fear. So after listening to this, I want you to just begin to notice where you might be telling yourself these stories that life is hard or that something is wrong with you. And I invite you to just bring your consciousness down into your heart and feel what it feels like to just slow down and access your heart. And then ask yourself, is this story true or is it fear-based? And what would it feel like to choose a different story? What would it feel like to know that you can choose your reality, that you can choose love, that you can live from your heart? Because everything really is love at the end of the day. And the last thing that I want to share is that something that I so deeply realized once everything dissolved and I started seeing that, I can just choose to create this new reality, is that like all of it just felt like God's love. All of it, even the pain, even the fear, even all of the stories. It felt like these stories that were a lower frequency were really just also God trying to come back to love. It felt like, if you want to call it the devil, even felt like it was God too, just trying to come back to God. And I heard this story about fallen angels and that they're actually the keeper of the lower frequency and that they chose to go down into the depths of the shadows to be there guarding those doors to help you not go any lower and to come back up into love. And so I just invite you to try to see from the aspect as everything being love, even the mistakes, even the hard things, even the bad things, even the pain, even just everything. It's all love trying to return to love. And I think that's really why we are here. So how can you just bring things back into love anytime something feels hard and feels difficult? Pouring love back into it, back into yourself, back into your body, back into whatever it is that you're dealing with. And that's my message and my prayer for this earth, to just help us move out of our heads, move into our hearts, move into greater and deeper love. Because when we can hold that frequency, I really believe that we can help heal the world and we can help raise the frequency of the planet by holding that prayer, by holding whatever the prayer is that you have for this earth and being the living embodiment of that prayer. So thank you for listening. I love you so much, and we'll see you on the next episode.